It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here tonight. You may not realize it, but I want to welcome you to the WSU Football Spring 2012 Tailgate Party. You may not realize, but we have this new coach. And this new coach, Mike Leach, God bless him, who is also a lawyer by training. Round of applause for lawyers. That was a charity clap, thank you. But Coach Leach intends to elevate the play of Washington State University both on the field and off the field. So next year, no more parking lots, no more real tailgates. All tailgate parties will be in banquet rooms with catered meals and fine wine, and our football team is going to play at that same elevated level. Are we in favor of this? But enough about Washington State University and Coach Leach, marvelous though they are. My name is Fran Forget. It's my pleasure to be your host tonight. This is going to be a very memorable occasion for the Tri-Cities, and in particular for one or more individuals. And they always say one or more individuals, but we never have had more than one individual win except sometime in 1966 and the Lampsons. So there was like a Hanford team and the Lamson team and the Zirkle team. So I'm wrong. There have been actually 3 different times. You know, I've got to read the program. I'm just way behind. Thank you, Debbie, my wife, Debbie. Round of applause for Debbie, who's helping me tonight. Tonight, we are celebrating 33 years of honoring outstanding individuals and or groups of individuals, Debbie. For their volunteerism, leadership, they have contributed to the positive development, economic growth of our community, and have committed to improving and enhancing the overall quality of life here in the Tri-Cities. This event is proudly brought to you through the collaborative efforts of our local Rotary and Kiwanis clubs. Someone tonight said that we have 2 clubs involved. Round of applause for the clubs? You bet. Somebody said we have 2 clubs involved, and if we can just get 3 more, we would have a flush. We would also like to thank our Ruby and Onyx table sponsors this evening. We have Cadillac Medical Center, Lourdes Health Network, Three Rivers Convention Center, Red Lion Hotel, Tri-Cities, and our Jade sponsors, Hapo Community Credit Union and Columbia Kiwanis Club. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you. Because of the generosity of these sponsors, we're able to bring you this great program and honor an outstanding individual or group of individuals. We would also like to turn your attention to some of the other generous donors and contributors who are listed in your program for their great support as well. With that, I would ask you to please stand as we share a moment of silence for past Tri-Citians of the Year who have left this life on their way to another pathway of service. Please remain standing after that when we'll have the national anthem performed by 2008 Miss Tri-Cities and Washington State University alumnus, Kina Harris. Kina, please come forward. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well done. Thank you so much. That was Kina Harris, 2008, Miss Tri-Cities. Kina, thank you so much. That was marvelous. Please, retake your seats. We now have some elected officials that we would like to recognize who are in attendance this evening. Because of the budget problems around the country, we had to cut back on what we could do this year in terms of extravagant items, and so we're reducing the applause. So after we name each elected official, we will do a single syncopated clap. Do you remember how we do that? Some of the other meetings I've done, I usually do lunches with this, not usually a dinner, but the economy is tough. But can we all do it together, just practice? We do it one time, and I point at you, and we do a single clap. You ready? Okay, you got it. So we'll have each person stand, we'll give them their clap, and then we'll move on to the next person. We got it. Our first person is the Pasco Mayor, Matt Watkins. Thanks, Matt. Our second elected official is the Kennewick City Councilman, Don Britton. Our next person is Sharon Brown, Mayor Pro Tem, Kennewick. We then have John Hubbard, Kennewick City Councilman. We have Bob Parks, also a Kennewick City Councilman. Port of Benton, we have Bob Larson. We also have Roy Keck, another commissioner. Port of Benton, we have Skip Novakovich, and the former Tri-Citian of the Year. Very good, kind of changed it up on you there. Kennewick General Hospital Commissioners, we have Marv Kenny, we have Donna Vance, we have Wanda Briggs, and finally we have Jim Mefford. Thank you very much. Did we miss anybody? We have one clap left. And then we'd be over the budget. Thank heavens. Barb, we're okay. The high-low was going to say there'd be about 10. Next, we'd like to thank all those representing a service club who are in attendance tonight. Your dedication as a service club member to building community through service is really something to behold. So we want to thank all those service club members who are in attendance. Could you all stand, and we'll give you 3 claps as a group. Are everybody ready? Everybody standing? 1. Thank you. We're on budget. The Tri-Citian of the Year award began in 1962. From that year until 1970, the Tri City Herald honored an individual with this award. After a 10-year hiatus, the only 2 Rotary clubs then in existence here in the Tri-Cities, which were the PK Rotary and the Richland Rotary, joined forces to bring the event back. Since then, the event has grown and flourished, with more Rotary clubs coming into existence and joining along with other service clubs. At this time, I would like to introduce Ken Brutzman of the Tri-Citian of the Year Committee to present our toast to the past Tri-Citians of the Year. Please fill your glasses in order to commemorate the celebration. Ken?
Thank you, Fran. Thank you.
Don't waste that applause. Don't waste it. Save it.
Okay. It is my honor to be up here, and we would like to recognize our past Tri-Citians of the Year and their spouses or significant others that are in attendance this evening. For our past Tri-Citians of the Year, please stand when I read your name. We ask that you hold your applause until they are all introduced and all remain standing. First of all, I'd like to mention Ernie Boston. He was our past Tri-Citian of the Year in 1986. Ernie is feeling a little under the weather today and could not make it, but Ernie's family is sitting right over here. We have with us tonight Dean Mitchell and his wife Helen, Coke Roth and his wife Mary, Bill Lamson and Kathy Balcom, Jack Briggs and Wanda Briggs, George Jones and his wife Pat, Dean Strawn and his wife Sandy, Ray Robinson and his wife Marilyn, Fran Forget and his wife Debbie, Calvin Dudley and Heidi, Frank Armillo and his wife Sherry, George Garlick and his wife Carol, Ken Hohenberg and his wife Trish, Mike Schwenk and his wife Sharon, and Skip Novakovich and his wife Shannon. Now, if you would all please raise your glasses. It is with humility that I present our past Tri-Citians of the Year. It is due to their hard work, dedication, and willingness to serve that the Tri-Cities is now one of the greatest places to live in the USA. Hear, hear. All right, please be seated and enjoy your dinner.
If I could have your attention for just a moment, and this is not a joke, the governor is here. Could we please stand up and welcome the governor of the state of Washington?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all very much. This is Chief Batiste, Chief of the Washington State Patrol. We're right next door at a memorial foundation for our fallen officers to recognize them. Please be seated. And so I got this card from Fran saying, remember, you're my classmate, come next door. I'd like to say something to you.
Please.
Yeah, so here I am. So I got to tell you, it's fun to be here and see all of you, but I want to tell you how much fun I've had this week. So I told the story at a dedication in which we were recognizing what we'd done in the capital budget. I had said how my husband was ecstatic over the fact that we were going to have a veterans home in Walla Walla, Washington. And my personal thing that I was, right, and the thing I was personally excited about was $5 million to go to a wine institute located right here in the Tri-Cities. So, I told the story when I proceeded to announce this. I told the story of my first trade mission to Paris, to the air show, in which I brought in all the tour operators, and we, as we were there, I had provided them all a glass of Washington State wine. So I proposed a toast. My toast was to the finest wine made anywhere in the world. It was, yes. You can imagine it was dead silent. As they stood with their glasses, they didn't want to embarrass me, but they sure weren't going to toast. When finally someone said, but Governor, what about California? To which I said, they make jug wine, we make fine wine, and everybody toasted. So that story got out on Monday, and California didn't take it very well. I have had cards and letters, lots of interviews saying, did you really mean it? And I said, it's a fact. You can't deny it. It's a fact. We win all of the awards. Look at the Wine Spectator, 5 years in a row. Not as expensive as their stuff. So then they had some expert come on and say, well, technically I was correct. They make jug wine and we don't make jug wine. And I thought, the guy has missed my entire point here. So I think it's just fine. They said I had declared war on California. If that's what it takes, we've got the best airplanes, we've got the best wines, we've got the best beer, we've got the best coffees. I'll take California on any day of the week because right here in the Tri-Cities we make the finest wine anywhere. Thank you all and have a great evening.
You know, you just never know who's going to drop by. Isn't this a great community? I'm going to go out and see who else I can find. I'll be back in a few minutes. So, you know, I mentioned to you that the State Patrol Association, particularly with an emphasis this group, with fallen brethren are right next door. And it's marvelous that they're here in the building tonight, and the governor could come and speak to them primarily, and it was wonderful that she took time to make a short stop to say hi to all of us tonight, so we thank her for that. Yes, we do. Round of applause. Thank you. You know, normally at these kinds of events, particularly around the holidays where law enforcement is, on the premises, you can arrange for rides home for those people who may need a lift. We were not successful in arranging those types of terms this evening, but I have every confidence that those of you who head home, you have a good chance of getting picked up by law enforcement along the way, and then they will take you somewhere else. Maybe not home, depending on the circumstances. So, be a good time here to look around your table and identify that person who looks much more sober than you. And you will have your designated driver. So let's be thinking about that, since there's 500 police officers right next door. Do I need to overemphasize that? Thank you. That concludes our public service announcement for this evening. And I'd like to take a few moments to make a few more comments about the tradition of this event. The event is organized and coordinated by the Rotary and Kiwanis clubs of the Tri-Cities for the entire community. It is our hope that you will appreciate this celebration this evening and find it uplifting, as we have found it ourselves to be enjoyable to put it together. The Tri-Citian of the Year award recognizes individuals for serving our greater community by exhibiting the characteristic of service above self. Or if you were a pirate coach, you would say, swing your sword. Similar to service above self if you were a pirate coach. Okay. But you think about it, it'd be a good name for a book, wouldn't it? No. Okay. I go too far. The award is open to anyone in the Tri-Cities who exemplifies this characteristic. The event's coordination is shared by volunteers from our local service clubs. It definitely takes a team effort. So we ask now that the 2012 committee members please stand so that we can say thank you. And there's no budget on this round of applause. This is all out. Thank you. Please stand. Be upstanding. Well, it's not one, two, where are they? Three. The rest of the volunteers were so tired they went home early. So that takes care of that. Our thanks to all of them. I would ask that you also refer to your program for a more detailed acknowledgement of all who have made this evening possible. I'd now like to introduce our keynote speaker, and I need him to hang on because I've been given some remarks to say in introducing him, and it's going to take a little bit, and I've tried to save what I thought were the most salient comments. But first, something about WSU itself. All of you in this room, I think, know what a great role Washington State University has been on, not just in this community with our campus, but around the state. It started a few years ago in 2006 when the university found and successfully hired President Elson Floyd. And then one thing leads to another. President Elson Floyd finds, recruits, and signs our new AD, Bill Moose, and what a find he was, And these things build. These things gain momentum. Bill Moose goes out, and who does he find? Our speaker tonight, Coach Mike Leach, and what an amazing coach he is, and I'll say a few things about him. Meanwhile, in the background, our south stands in the football stadium are being doubled, tripled inside with all sorts of luxury boxes, new broadcast suites for the television stations, everything set up for high-definition broadcasting over the new Pac-12 television station. I mean, it's just amazing what is occurring. And when we signed this coach, when the news got out, we had people from Texas calling who were upset about him going and wanted to get tickets up here or send money up here. And we think we're probably going to have a delegation of those folks from Texas who are going to be coming to our games during the year because they know what a terrific coach this guy is and how successful he has been. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So it's just a marvelous deal, and the football improvements will be done by opening day in September. They're on schedule and under budget. And not every public institution is capable of that, except our own, right here in the Tri-Cities, at least those elected officials who are here. They do it, right? Thank you. Mike Leach was named the Cougars' head football coach in November of last year. He brings clearly a proven record of winning to Pullman in 10 seasons as head coach at Texas Tech from 2000 to 2009. His program earned appearances in 10 bowls. 10 bowls, 10 years. You can do the math. In addition, this Susanville, California native who was raised in Cody, Wyoming, we have some people here from Cody, I think, recorded a school record there in Texas of 84 victories during his tenure. His offense led the nation in passing 6 times and 3 times accumulated the most total yards. In 2009, the Red Raiders were 2nd in passing offense and 4th in total offense, with both marks being tops among BCS conference schools. In 2008, Texas Tech set a program record with 11 regular season wins while tying the overall victory record. The Red Raiders were ranked as high as 2nd in the nation, and 4 student athletes earned All-America First Team status. Leach also received 3 National Coach of the Year awards. He also earned the Woody Hayes Award, the Howie Long Field Turf Coach of the Year Award, the George Munger Award. During Leach's time in Lubbock, Texas, the Red Raiders increased their yards per game by more than 150 and averaged nearly 20 points more per outing. In the passing game, Texas Tech threw for about 300 yards more per game in the decade, just a decade, that Leach was at that school. I got to tell you, Cougar fans get choked up just hearing about that. Can we have a round of applause for so far? Now at Texas Tech, they also had a defense. You got offense, you got defense. Texas Tech held opponents without an offensive touchdown 12 times under Leach, including 7 shutouts. 3 of the whitewashes came in 2000 when the Red Raiders tied for the national lead. While Leach was the head coach, 17 Red Raiders were drafted by NHL teams. During his last 2 seasons at Texas Tech, the Red Raiders earned 28 Big 12 all-academic honors. And it's amazing. At WSU, we really emphasize performance in academics by the student athletes. And we've had great success with that. And we think with Coach Leach and his emphasis on academics, we're going to see that experience continued and no doubt improve. So we're looking forward to that. In fact, I think in the recent times, WSU, their student athletes have had a higher GPA on average than the non-athletes at WSU, which is an amazing record. In fact, I think we were also number 2 overall to only Stanford in terms of academic performance for athletes, and that's got to be a wonderful comparison. And we're very excited about that. After graduating with honors, you see it just goes on here. After graduating with honors from BYU in 1983, Leach earned a master's degree from the U.S. Sports Academy. And the rest of the story, he earned his law degree from Pepperdine, where he graduated in the top 1/3 of his class. And so he goes on to coaching, of course. Why did I miss that career choice when I got out? And look how successful he has been. Mike and his wife Sharon have 4 children. They have made the maneuvering into the Pullman area and found a home and getting the kids in school and playing sports and going to church and all those things you got to do. But obviously he's been a very, very busy person as he gets through this time period of doing the recruiting and all the assistant coaches and all the players. And I think he really likes it here. As he was talking at the table about how these players, they all hang together. They're one big group, very supportive. It's marvelous. And I do want him to talk to you about his sandbox when he gets up here. I think you'll enjoy that as well. So I invite you now to welcome Coach Mike Leach as he shares a message of hope, character, and strength.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. Obviously, the one clap rule needs a little bit of work, but I really appreciate it. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I'm really humbled by, I mean, there's a lot of incredibly smart people here. And we were talking about per capita PhDs and everything else, which befuddles me even more. Why exactly am I here? I mean, you know, you've got, I've always thought it's a funny deal between sports and the business world. You know, you've got various corporations and they, you know, bring in some coach or somebody from athletics, you know, to talk about straightening out the business deal. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm not going to have any of these guys come in and tell me what to call on 3rd and long. But because I really don't know what I know about the business field. But you know, the one thing I do know how we do things, and I know the path that I took. So I'm not going to for a second tell you that I know anything about business or how to solve the problems in business or anything like that. But I know the path that I took, and I know that no matter what you do, there's always some obstacles on the way, and so I'm able to talk about that a little bit. But and then when in my press conference, somebody said, "Why Washington State?" And I said, "Well, that's a stupid question," and which it obviously is. And I think even the Huskies would agree with that. You know, and I think it's like anything. I mean, you want to go to a place where, you know, you can have an impact and you know, that's unique. It's undervalued. It's unique. It has a specific identity, and I think Washington State's got one of the most unique identities of any place I've been in the country. It's in a national conference, and I guess one of the most important things for me was Bill Moose. Now, when you go around the country, and all trades, all businesses have inside stuff that they know, they think about, and they value. And as a football coach, working for a guy like Bill Moose is one of those things. I mean, his body of work speaks for itself in this business. You know, he's got incredible vision. He understands teamwork. While an awful lot of athletic, you know, the vast majority of athletic departments in this country are some semblance of a banana republic, this is one of teamwork and vision. And so he's one that not just me, but a lot of football coaches aspire to work for. And the other thing is, you know, I think it's important to have a passion for what you do. Football provides that. Bear Bryant said, he said, "Don't coach unless you can't conceive of doing anything else." And, you know, because coaching's a twisted path, but the thing is, that's part of what makes it exciting. You see a lot of different things every day. I mean, you know, which kind of brings me back to Washington State. You know, here's what's unique about Washington State, and I know a lot of you went there and several didn't, but for years, and I had a cousin that went there way back when, and for years, and Mike Price, I came up here one time. Mike Price had a deal, is called the one-back clinic, and even though we had two backs a third of the time, basically it was for everybody that threw the ball a lot, and we all came up and we didn't play each other. And several coaching staffs, and we talked about all the stuff in scheme and drills and everything. And so then we and that's when I first got to see Pullman. And since then, curious about it. And you go up to a Washington State grad and you say, what's it like to go to Washington State? And they go, and they get this little grin on their face, and they kind of, and oh, it's great. I go, oh, really? It's kind of a small place. Oh, yeah, but it's great, you know. And then, and I go, well, what makes it greater than the other place? Well, you don't understand. You just got to go there. It's great. Well, and so when I got there, early on when I got there, and it's not an easy place to find your way around. If somebody had told me that I can't figure out a way how to get around a town of 30,000 people in 15 minutes, I thought they were lying, and there's still things I'm discovering there as far as getting around those hills and things. But it was on a Friday, and my wife and I had gone to a movie, and I was curious, and then we were kind of finding our way around town, and we drove downtown, and there weren't any students downtown, and I'm going, Sharon, it's Friday, right? She says, yeah, it's Friday. And I said, well, now school's in session, right? She says, well, yeah, it's got to be. And so, well, then we drove up by the college, and we went up there on College Hill. It was 37 degrees outside that day. There were basketball games going on, shirts and skins. There were nobody wearing a jacket. There's folks walking all over that hill, and you could look in windows. There were pizza parties. There were ping pong tournaments. There were establishments with people lined up out the door. I mean, it's the greatest place to be a student ever, I'm convinced. And I'll tell you, part of it is that I think back to my college years. All the memories that I cherish the most all involved my relationships and my experience with my fellow students, you know. And I'm not saying I liked all of them either, but I'll tell you this. I mean, even those ones you've got stories and you think about and you laugh about now, you know. And so it's ridiculously fulfilling and worthwhile. And then when we bring recruits up there, they have a sense of that as well. You know, in my case, coaching, I started out, and they'd let you drive a car when you were 15 in Wyoming. I grew up in Wyoming. I started coaching Little League Baseball when I was 15. I did it through until my sophomore year at college, and then and always enjoyed that. And to this day, you know, people say, is this the greatest victory you ever had? We beat the University of Texas one time. They're #1 in the country. And was this the greatest victory you've ever had? And I told them truthfully, well, no. You know, when I was in college, I had this 13-year-old all-star team, and we played Cheyenne. And you know, we're talking about all these base kids from Cheyenne, big old tall kids, and you know, Cody's from a town of it's a town of 5,000 people, and Cheyenne's drawn from significantly more. And you know, that day our team found a way to beat them in a game, which was a heck of a game. And then we also lost one to them, but that was a heck of a competitive game. To this day, that is the greatest victory that we've ever had. And so, you know, from that, you know, coaching for the sake of coaching, regardless of when, where, how, and all the trappings of it, to me had a value. And then, then I had this notion I was going to go to law school, and my dad hated attorneys, and he still does. Friends clapping particularly hard, and I didn't really have any attorneys in my family, so it was a little inexplicable, but somehow I had it in my head that I was going to be an attorney, and so I went straight through college, went to law school, and law school is smart, competitive, and ruthless, and I can tell you one story after the next. You'd have brilliant people, and then you know, periodically all the vices increase. You know, whether it's alcohol, drugs, relationships, gambling. I mean, occasionally there'd be seedy guys coming through there looking for some law student that got a little overextended on his bets and stuff like that. And but it's an incredibly competitive environment, and and all the stories you've heard and seen, you know, like on Paper Chase, that's pretty much, that's accurate. And my guy, he did, the guy I had for civil procedure, he didn't go terribly original, but when Mr. Forrest recited Penoyer v. Neff, he said, here's a quarter, call your parents, you will never be an attorney, but maybe there's some management positions at McDonald's. And then, you know, when we would have assignments in law school, mysteriously the books required for those assignments would end up missing. And they weren't missing because somebody wanted to hog the books once in a while, but it was really so that they could have a competitive advantage. And then I'd drive to UCLA and go use their books where they didn't have the same assignment. And, but you learn, or, you know, in what I drew from law school, important to maintain a balance. It's easy to get obsessed over things. I remember one fella, and he was a very intense student, dressed up every day, had a tie every day, took it very seriously, was dating an heiress to a corporation, and so anyway, breaks up with her, or she breaks up with him. He doesn't make law review, and I think it got a little too intense for him. And then Pacific Coast Highway, which is a very busy highway that runs down the coast between Malibu and Los Angeles. But before I get into that, at Pepperdine, we had this thing where we said, "I love law," you know, because law would get boring and tedious. You know, you'd say, you know, just as a rally cry, "I love law," and then the guy next to you, "You gotta love the law. I love law," you know. And so you talk yourself into, "Hey, I love law," you know. Well, so at any rate, this fella, after the pressures of law school and the girlfriend breakup and the rest, he's running down Pacific Coast Highway naked, yelling, "I love law," and and then went back home somewhere back east to kind of get his priorities straightened out, I guess. The other thing with law in my case, there's an attorney from the state of Wyoming named Jerry Spence, who, and Jerry Spence, you know, was one of those fight for the little guy fellas, and he's older than I am, but you know, we actually went to some of the same schools, lived in some of the same towns, and you know, he had all kinds of cases. Had the Silkwood case, had the, you know, Imelda Marcos. I don't know if you know, she's behind on shoe bills or what, but he, and then several national cases, and then you know. In one case, I remember when he sued Penthouse Magazine. Penthouse Magazine had written a salacious story that involved a young lady who was a baton twirler with long brown hair and who was a Miss Wyoming. Well, as it turns out, there really was a Miss Wyoming. And she really did have long brown hair, and she was a baton twirler, and had done nothing that even remotely resembled some of the wild stuff in the story. And so Laramie, Wyoming, which there's places in Washington that are a lot like Laramie, Wyoming, pickups, guns in the back window of the pickups, maybe a deer strapped to some part of the pickup. And well, and they bring in Bob Guccione, the president of Penthouse Magazine, who's from New York, who had a silk shirt unbuttoned to his belly button and all kinds of gold chains, and $18 million, Miss Wyoming was made whole. And so anyway, so you know, law definitely appealed to me, and as I got through the middle of law school, I sent Jerry Spence a letter. To this day, I've never met Jerry Spence. Look forward to meeting him, hope to sometime. Sent him a letter, said, "Dear Mr. Spence, do you love law? Do you hate law? If you had it to do over again, would you do it that way again? And is it everything that you thought it would be? Because you're the top of your game. You've accomplished a lot in law that, you know, that I, you know, would hope to achieve if I pursue this career. So was the path worth it? And he sent me back a letter, and he said, yes, I love law. Yes, I hate law. Yes, I would do it again. I love it and I hate it, but I'm consumed by it. He says, I think about law all the time. If you're consumed by law, go be a lawyer. If you're not, go do something you are consumed by. And it wasn't like it was some sudden moment that I decided, oh, Jerry sent me this letter, so I got to quit law. It wasn't like that. But I thought, you know, it is important to be consumed by what you do. And somewhere between the channel changer, the car, running errands, you know, did I think about law? Well, I thought about law some if I had an assignment coming up, but I also thought about coaching, football, the moving parts, the various things that go into that. And I didn't want to get old without trying to be an attorney. And at the time, we lived in L.A., and you probably have seen approximately on some movies about where we lived. They have a thing called the L.A. River. We were on the shores of the L.A. River. The trouble with the L.A. River, there's no water in it. It's a big concrete ditch, and typically they have car chases and shootouts and things like that there, and sometimes helicopter crashes and things like that. And we lived in a place with bars on the window, and it was, which was honestly, it was actually kind of fun and exciting. I would hear gunshots, none of them directed at me, but you'd hear them in the background. You know, the neighbors would have a party, and it would, you know, start playing na 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 na, and then, you know, late at night, guns would start, you know, and just kind of in celebration because of evidently not enough fireworks around, and that was a heck of a. I enjoyed that too, and it was an exciting place to be, and so we were driving back and forth to Malibu every day, and but I thought, well, I don't want to get old without trying coaching, and we owed the federal government a bunch of money. We lived in a little studio apartment. My first daughter slept in a kind of a half playpen, half crib thing, and we pulled our bed out of the couch. And so I figured, okay, let's see, we owe the federal government $36,000, so if you add another 10 to that, then, and so I did the logical thing. I took out another student loan and went to the United States Sports Academy in Daphne, Alabama, and to pursue coaching. I'm thinking, well, I'll coach for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, and I'll go back and practice law. And then, well, then from there, I got, and it was the very year, there was a time where all schools had unlimited graduate assistants. And, you know, in other words, any school would take free help if they could get it. I came out the very year that they limited it to 2. So they were getting rid of graduate assistants, a lot of times guys that had played for the programs and things like that. And so bringing the total down to 2, which means they weren't going to hire me. And so I ended up going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which was a Division II school back then, and started to learn and learn football. And Bill Walsh always talks about embrace all your experiences. You know, go there and grow as a coach. You know, develop your skills as a coach. Well, and then from there I went. I was at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I was at College of the Desert, which is a junior college in Palm Desert, California. I coached in Finland for a season. Then I went to Iowa Wesleyan College, which was an NAI school in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Then I went to Valdosta State University, which is in South Georgia and Valdosta, Georgia. Then went to the University of Kentucky, and then the University of Oklahoma, then Texas Tech for 10 years, and then here. And, but to give you an idea, at Iowa Wesleyan College, and this was really a good experience. I mean, it was, you know, but I am reminded of John Madden. John Madden had a quote. He says, "The road to success runs right through the gutter." And so I was at, when I got to Iowa Wesleyan, where they didn't have the budget for a whole lot of coaches, I was the offensive line coach, the offensive coordinator, the recruiting coordinator, the video coordinator, the equipment manager, and I taught 2 classes, history and criminal law. And I got paid $10,000 for the year. And I went, and I'll never forget this. So it was my wife and my daughter, and so there was a trailer in this trailer court that was donated by the booster department to Iowa Wesleyan College. And so I called up Coach Mummy, Hal Mummy, the head coach. I said, "Now, is there a place to live?" "Oh, yeah, there's a place to live. Heck, the booster department donated a trailer." And so I go to this trailer court, and it's not one of those nice decorated ones that's on a river and has a manicured lawn about 5 feet by 5 feet and, you know, little awnings and stuff like that. It wasn't like that. So we go back, and the trailers are getting smaller and smaller, and there's this little bitty trailer. And you know, I had allergies at the time, and so needless to say, the thing's almost covered with, you know, with grass growing up beside it. And it's one of those places you go in, and each step you take on the floor will kind of creak. And the floor had a funny way of getting soft, where you wondered if you were going through or not. And so you can imagine the expression on my wife's face, you know. And this is the first I'd seen it too. And, "Oh, this won't be a problem. This is great. We'll fix it up. And we'll look at this rug. Well, we'll just get something to throw over it." And this was a 1-bedroom trailer, a 1 small bedroom trailer. And so, and then of course the kitchen, the linoleum's all coming up, and there's cockroaches and the rest. And then I'll never forget the bathtub and shower. And it had this unique quality. First of all, the bathtub didn't drain, so you wanted to take a shower quick enough that the bathtub didn't overflow. You had to get the shower done before, you know, it filled up high enough that it went over the top. And then the other thing is as you stood in the bathtub would kind of sink down, and the shower would shoot over the side of that bathtub against the wall and run to some place where I have no idea. But not all of it ran out the trailer. A whole bunch of it was on the floor, and the entire rug would be soaked. And after a couple days of that, I just realized that we were going to flood the bathroom nearly every time we took a shower. And once I reconciled that, showers became a lot easier, and I really didn't have a lot of anxiety about getting the place wet. And I'll never forget this. The first day, and it's dark, and I can't. So the last room's the bedroom. I'm thinking, all right. So we'll see how this goes. And I got ready to walk into the bedroom, and something said, "Don't walk in there." And I about went, and I reached on the wall to try to find a light, and I couldn't find a light. So I went, well, I'll go in there and I'll find the light and I'll check it out. Something said, "Don't go in that bedroom." So then eventually I reached and found a light about this high. So it was a low ceiling bedroom, but there was a full ceiling fan that had 1 speed, which was full speed. And that ceiling fan is going full speed, and I would have walked right into that sucker right here. And this is the part people think I'm lying about, and it was funny because you know, various members of my staff or folks that read the book, Coach Mummy, the guy I worked for there, came out to Washington State for spring, And so, you know, they start asking questions about this trailer. And he remembered some nasty stuff in that trailer that I'd forgotten, some features of this thing. But anyway, so it's kind of even worse than described. So inside, the entire floor, all the walls, and the ceiling were covered with bright red shag carpet. And I mean the full-inch shag carpet. This entire box of bright red shag carpet. And as pitch dark as it was, believe me, laying in there, you can see bright red no matter how dark it is. And you can, I have no idea what took place in there and what would possess somebody to stick bright red shag carpet all over, but nevertheless. And but as far as us as coaches and just some quick philosophy stuff on how we try to run stuff, I think every team needs an identity, a direction. Coaches need to be accountable. And I don't know why anybody coaches if they don't think they have the ability to impact the fortunes of a team. You know, like occasionally a guy says, well, we just have bad players. Well, work to make them better. I mean, you know, you may not be able to beat everybody, but you can do your best and contribute to making everybody as good as they can possibly be, or, you know, that type of thing. Because just enjoying coaching and improving your skills as a coach and theirs as a player, I think, are important. I always had a sign, and we're going to get a sign when we get the new complex. Right now we share a lot of the meeting rooms with other entities on campus, so they may not like our signs up. But anyway, we had a sign that said, you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen, above every coach's office. And I made sure mine was 5 times bigger than theirs, because I wanted to make sure I continued to understand I was accountable for them as well as the players. And so you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. And as a coach, you may need to reach people various different ways. And one way is not always the right way to reach somebody. You know, I used to have linemen. I'd say, get your head back, get your head back. The guy'd put his head back. Then I'd have others where I said it over and over and over, and he never got his head back. And then finally I said, I said, well, drop your ass. And then he drops his hips down. I guess that's the more politically businessy correct way to say it. And so he'd do that, and then his head went back. You know, well, this guy's a drop your hips guy, you know. And so, and you know, because as coaches get frustrated, they'll say, well, I've told him 1,000 times, and he still won't do it. And you know, now think about that. You told him 1,000 times? 1,000 times, and he still won't do it. Well, if you told him 1,000 times, you must be the worst coach in the whole world. And so I think, you know, at times you need to adjust the approach, and then, you know, and if you genuinely did tell somebody something 1,000 times and still nothing happened, maybe the player needs to be replaced. But, you know, we talk about film shows how good of a coach you are. You know, your opponent may be overpowering or something like that, and you may fall short with regard to wins and losses, but look at the film. That tells you how good of a coach you are. Do you play with low pads? Do you play hard when you're ahead? Do you play hard when you're behind? And I think that applies to academics also. You're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. We also, and then the things that we emphasize to everybody every day. We talk about get better every day. Get better every day. What do you need to do today? Get better every day. Don't confuse activities with results. Just because you're involved in the activity doesn't mean you're getting results. We will ask our team to do things that other teams are not asked to do. If you do what everyone else does, that's who you are. You're everyone else. We expect our results to be different, so we have to take a bit of a different approach. Every team in the country practices, lifts, and watches film. We have to get more out of these activities than they do. Otherwise, that's who we are. We're everyone else. We talk about compete with yourself. Compete with yourself. And by that, we mean gauge your performance by whether it was the best of your ability. And, you know, and for years, everybody's heard, give 110%. Well, you can't give 100%, much less 110%. I mean, 100% would be perfect. I haven't had a perfect player. I've had some good ones, never had a perfect one, which means he's somewhere below 100%. But if you figure it this way, if there's a guy that's really talented, that sometimes he's up there at 85%, but late in the game when he gets bruised and tired, he's down there to 50%. Well, if we can consistently go 85%, we're going to be better than that guy significant portions of the game. And so gauge it by whether it's the best of your ability. You know, if you're a scout team player and you're going against some All-American, he's whipping you every time, well, keep competing, keep battling so you can improve your skills when you grow bigger and stronger and the rest. And if you're that All-American, you need to do the best you can because you're not always playing against a scout team guy. At some point, you're going to play some all Pac-10 guy who's going to be maybe more talented than you, and your skills have to be ready for him. We talk about play the next play. It's the only one that counts. And one of my favorite things on this is guys, especially guys that it means a great deal to them, offensive linemen in particular, because they're very conscientious. Play the next play. Well, the defensive lineman will beat them and hit the quarterback. And you'll see the offensive lineman. It's actually kind of funny, but it still frustrates me. You'll see the offensive lineman. And you know, but from on a practical standpoint, it's great that means a great deal to you, but you know, the rest of us are sitting here and we've got this other play to play, and we know that this guy whipped you this last play, but we're going to need your full faith and effort on this next one if we're going to have any chance of success. So rather than beat your head, get in your stance and see if you can't figure out a way to at least stop his feet. And so I think, you know, and sometimes guys need to let themselves off the hook. I mean, the next play that counts, that last play you got beat, that one's over. Let's worry about the next one. How are you going to do your best for the next one? And then, of course, you see happy players, like, you know, and I don't know how many times I've seen this, and I know that this is, you know, there's not that many interceptions in a game, but a DB will get an interception and maybe run it back or something like that. And you see it with receivers, too, if they make a big catch. They'll be so happy, you know. Yeah, did you see that? Yeah, I got an interception. Oh, all right, here's the next series. Yeah, hey, remember that interception? Yeah, that's a good interception. Some guy runs right past them. Or else, you know, and the football gods will do this to you, too. Yeah, did you remember that interception? That's a great interception. And then the next throw by, boom, you know. I mean, you about had 2 interceptions if you hadn't been talking about that, and you can write it down. Yeah, I mean, if you see a DB out there celebrating, even the most accurate quarterback on the other team at some point is going to hit that guy in the face with the football, only to have him drop it. And then when we talk about win 1 game a week, it's the only one that counts, but I think it's important to improve incrementally from 1 week to the next. Respect everyone, fear no one. Bad teams will beat you if you don't respect them. You can't beat great teams if you fear them. And, you know, and every year, you know, here's the, like, realistic. Everybody that tells you what you can't do, they said, well, I'm just being realistic. Well, that may or may not be true. We don't really know for sure because nobody really knows what realistic is. And I forgot about realistic a long time ago and try to remind myself to continue to forget about it. And usually, well, the I'm just being realistic crowd, that comes from somebody that's afraid to stick their neck out and afraid to think positively. You don't know what's realistic. There's upsets every week. When I was on Sirius Radio, you know, we had this big discussion. Well, we're just being realistic, but these 1AA teams shouldn't play 1A teams because they can never beat them and blah, 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 blah. Jack Root says, well, okay, I'm going to make a prediction. He says 3 1AA teams will beat 1A teams. I said, I predict 5 will beat 1A teams. I lost count at 7. I threw up my hands and said, well, I can't predict this myself, you know. And there's upsets every week. Tell your team what they can do. It improves their chances. And then the other thing, and I mean, which is pretty obvious, if it was for realistic, I never would have made it as a coach. You know, realistic didn't have to do with, you know, living in a leaky trailer with weak spots in the floor and the bondage bedroom or whatever was going on back there before we got in there. You know what I mean? And as a team, we talk about our goals. Be a team. Do what's best for everybody, not just a few. And I know I'm about over time. I'm going to tell this anyway, though. Okay, well, we talk about the parts of a car, and this is a true story. And we go around the room and we say, all right, to the football team, what parts of the car are the most important parts of the car? And, of course, the smart guy says, oh, the engine. The other guy says the steering wheel. And the guy that thinks it's a trick question says, well, the carburetor actually is, you know. And so one time growing up in Wyoming, Grable Hill, heads to Grable, there's this guy beside us in this car, and the engine's just roaring. A big old heavy guy named Todd. And so we pull up beside him. Hey, Todd. He goes, yeah, I just got this car. And Todd loved to fix cars. He says, I've got a brand new Holly in it, which is, come to find out, it's a carburetor that's really loud. And he says, well, why is your back wheel wobbling? I only got 2 lug nuts on. I wanted to try this thing out. So we go up the hill, and all of a sudden we hear a loud bump. And we look back, and there's sparks flying as Todd's wheel had come off, and his brake drum is dragging across the ground going up the hill. Okay, so if only the major players in some team or organization are important, well, think about it next time you tried driving your car without any lug nuts. Now, lug nuts probably cost 50 cents a piece, but try operating the team or the car without lug nuts. So everybody's got a role. Try to maximize the role. Be the most excited to play. I don't think there's any substitute for it. No matter what you do, be the most excited to play. Be the best at doing your job. Within that, the lug nut's got its job, the steering wheel's got its job. Be the best at doing your job. A fellow that played for me, Wes Welker, who's a receiver for the New England Patriots, just finished with his 4th Pro Bowl, was not drafted. We were the only school that recruited him out of high school because he's small and slow, and he's still small and slow, but more than deserves his 4th Pro Bowl. He used to say, and I think he came to our place kind of sharing the same philosophy we did, but this kind of epitomizes what we always tried to tell our guys about being the best at doing their job. And he said this before one of the Super Bowls. He says, every day I just every day I just worry about what I can control, and that's me going out and believing in myself. And so I think that's the starting point as far as being the best at doing your job. Truly an honor to be here in the Tri-Cities. I appreciate everybody here, and there's a lot of people smarter than me, so if you come up with any good plays, let me know. And, but again, an honor, and go Cougs. Thank you.
A little presentation we're going to do with a check for a scholarship in your honor. Can you come up? Thanks very much, Coach. And if all the lawyers in the room will stand, we'll give you one clap just to offset what we heard. Lawyers, Ken Miller, Coke Roth, Mike, got everybody standing? Okay, one clap, here we go. That's all you get, I'm sorry, we're out of time. Now, here's what we're going to do. Washington State University has been a big part of the Tri-Cities community.
That's not you.
That's not me?
No,
Who is that?
that's me.
Is that you?
Yes.
But your name isn't on it.
Yes, it is.
Do you want to read it?
Allow Barb to get on the stage.
Well, you're on the stage.
I am.
Now you want the mic too?
Get off, yes.
She wants it all. You're up.
Thank you.
Thank you over here.
Yeah, you can be there. I wanted to, first of all, thank you, Coach Leach, for coming up today. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people in this room are big Cougar fans. Woo! So, first of all, you and your handlers, where's Dave? Where's Kevin? Where are you? Come here, come here, come here. All right. You have to know that several years ago you were in the Rose Bowl, right? You don't know that yet, probably. You will know. But we had to, I was privileged to go to the Rose Bowl, and my friend, Karen Miller, who is a diehard Cougar, had to teach me the Washington State fight song. And you may not know it yet, so I want you to know it. So we have these t-shirts, and it's backwards. You can, when you put them on, and you look at them like this, fight, fight, fight for Washington State. You'll know what the fight song is for WSU. And I know that because all the people you've recruited are not WSU guys either, right? Kevin, Dave, where are you? We got your t-shirts too, okay? So I want you all to wear these proudly. As the governor said, we have the fine wine, not the cheap wine, junk wine. So we'd like you to have this on our behalf. And then, Fran, Washington State University has been a part of Tri-Cities community since 1989. And since then, the university has flourished and educated over 1,500 Tri-Citians each year. And WSU Tri-Cities Chancellor Vicki Carwine is here tonight, and we would like to have her come up to the stage, if you could, please. Vicki? She's ready for her close-up. Can I just say, if anyone wants to have like really important people in your wheelhouse, invite Fran to be your,
Glad to be in your wheelhouse.
He's in my wheelhouse forever now. As a gesture of our appreciation for the commitment of WSU Tri-Cities and that we have for the community, and Coach Leach, for your generosity tonight in coming here and being part of our event.
Pay no attention.
Debbie, how often do you let him out, Debbie? Oh, for gosh sakes. The Tri-Citian of the Year committee this year would like to present a check for $5,000 to the WSU Tri-Cities Scholarship Fund on our behalf. So thank you very much. Okay, Fran, now you can turn the check around.
Coach, you just right in the middle here.
Thank you.
You can take this back to your table. It's non-negotiable, though. Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
For coming. Cheer for the coach. I know all the Cougs are looking forward to this fall. Got a lot to enjoy coming up. Each year we receive a number of questions, it says here, about the selection process for a Tri-Citian of the Year. And I could read this paragraph, or I could just tell you the truth, The truth is that George Garlick and Jack Briggs just go out to coffee at Starbucks on the first Tuesday of every March, and those two guys pick the Tri-Citian of the Year. The rest of this stuff, it's good. I'm sorry, is that wrong? Well, that was my supposition. I'm sorry. Sorry, Jack. The truth is, I'll read this. I'd like to refer you to the back page of our evening's program, which references the selection process. The selection committee partners that assisted in evaluating nominations are listed in your program. I would like to thank them for their participation in helping determine this year's winner or winners, and are they here in attendance, any of them? Could they stand? And we'd love to give them a rousing clap. Are they here? Ready? Okay, we're sort of losing our style there, but that's all right. And now, is Rob Piazza here? We're here. What's the next thing we're going to do? You have some portraits? A portrait? It's a special presentation for our past Tri-Citian of the Year. Who wants to play Sam Volpentest? Okay. We have something to present, and we have to bring somebody up to receive it.
We do.
And who would that person be?
Mr. Skip Novakovic.
Is there a Skip Novakovic in the house? He left. Come on up, Skip. And now Rob DiPiazza from the Tri-Citian of the Year Committee and Artistic Portraits will present Skip with his own personal portrait recognizing him as our 2011 Tri-Citian of the Year. This portrait is made possible through a generous donation by Rob and his wife Judy of Artistic Portraits.
All yours. It's all mine now.
Look at that handsome devil.
Oh, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Now the other thing that Skip's going to do while he's up here, he's going to tell us some things about this year's winner or winners. And we'll see what he has to say. Skip?
Thanks, Frank. Well, first of all, I have to tell you that it's a real honor and a privilege for me to be here tonight, to stand in front of you and be able to talk to you about this year's recipient of the Tri-Citian of the Year. I'm still kind of in a state of bewilderment, wondering how or why I ever received this award last year, considering all the wonderful people that I've admired over the years that have received this award prior to me, and I'm just really blessed to have received this last year. It isn't something that I woke up one morning thinking, oh gee, I think I want to be Tri-Citian of the Year. And I don't think it's something that this year's recipient woke up one morning thinking that's what they wanted to be either. Some of you may remember John F. Kennedy's famous speech on January 20th, 1961, in which he said, "My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." But his very next sentence said, "My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man." Now, if I could take those two comments that he made in that speech in 1961, change them slightly and put them together, I think I have a definition of how I would describe this year's Tri-Citian of the Year. And that would be a person who asks not what the Tri-Cities can do for them, but asks what they can do for the good of the Tri-Cities, either individually or by bringing citizens together, giving them a vision and helping them achieve success for a common good. Okay, so that's my definition, but you probably want me to talk about who. Well, the first thing I want to say, Coach Leach, where is he? He left. Okay, but anyway, what I want to tell him is that this person is a Coug. He's a very strong Cougar supporter, wears WSU gear whenever he can. This person is known throughout the Tri-Cities for greeting people with a smile and a, gee, I just want to help kind of attitude. Here's some quotes that some people had to say about this person. People want to help when this person is around because this person makes them feel good about themselves and the project they're working on. The enthusiasm is contagious. Another person said, this person has a can-do spirit and a willingness to always go the extra mile to help others. When this person volunteers, they get results. Someone else commented, when this person heard we needed some help while I was recovering for an illness, this person showed up with other Rotarians with a big smile. Okay, so now you know this person's a Rotarian and a Coug. Tonight, here's something that's kind of amazing. Tonight, this person's spouse doesn't even know this person's been selected. Now, that's different than last year when my wife Shannon kept this secret really, really good. But I'll get even with her later. The person we honor tonight grew up in Kennewick, is a graduate of Kennewick High, has been married for nearly 40 years. So now you know they're a Coug, they're a Rotarian, and they're old. Has 2 children, has served on the boards of the Tri-City Visitor and Convention Bureau, Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Tri-City Cancer Center, and the United Way. Any guesses? Okay, we'll keep going. Our recipient is known for becoming passionate about whatever they commit to and for quickly instilling their enthusiasm in others. The impact of their time and effort multiplies as they engage others to become involved. Some organizations even claim that they cannot get rid of our recipients since they stick around with the project as long as is needed. When coaching a kid's soccer team a number of years ago, this person saw a need for soccer fields. So they became an integral cog in a group that brought 3,600-member Tri-City Youth Soccer Association together to take 55 hilly acres of scrub brush and build a dream sports soccer complex in Pasco that is the envy of the Northwest. Our recipient has had to postpone celebrating weddings and anniversaries and their birthdays because those special dates interfere with their commitment to the water follies. Then I learned a lot of interesting things about this person, that the water follies volunteers were just as happy to celebrate this recipient's 60th birthday by attaching a reminder banner to a plane that flew over the water follies crowd. Now, you know, because this person's old, I don't really know how many years ago that was, so we really can't guess the age of this person. But I can tell you he continues to add to his, now you know that it's a male, add to his list of organizations he serves. Not only does he stick with projects and organizations that he is passionate about, he's quick to volunteer for new challenges. During the 33 years he served as a water follies volunteer, he has put up and pulled down tents out of the river, is well known for recruiting volunteers and sponsors. In his early years was known to camp out to provide security at night. He chased people trying to sneak in beer. That's not so funny, because he also snuck it in himself. I found out a lot of interesting things. One year he managed to recruit 30 volunteers who cheerfully parked cars for 3 days in heat and dust. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe he got him to do that with that beer that he snuck in. Ron, do you know anything about that, by the way? Okay. Our recipient continues to do all he can year after year to make the water follies a success. Ron Huey has served on the advisory committee of HUD's Community Development Block Grant Fund since its inception in 1996, providing his professional expertise. Ron Huey has been a Circle of Hope board member and now serves as their vice president. He enjoys being an active Rotarian and is currently the treasurer of Columbia Center Rotary, looking forward to being its president. Because he's the dad of twin daughters who graduated from WSU, he is looking forward to helping WSU Tri-Cities reach their fundraising goals. His enthusiasm for WSU Tri-Cities, his love for our community, and his fearless approach to fundraising made him a great addition to this WSU committee. And while there's no doubt Ron Huey will be tromping around Columbia Park this summer as he had for 33 years, helping hundreds of volunteers help others at the boat races. Those who know him hope he will not appear with a bandage on his broken nose as he did in his wedding photos 40 years ago. Now you can hear the laughter because I just heard about this, but I guess those photos are something to look at. Yet with all he's done to better the Tri-Cities, Ron Huey rarely talks about what he does, and he never seeks accolades for the things he accomplishes. His passion to help is contagious and generates countless results throughout our community, making it a better place for all of us. Now I have a couple final quotes to share with you. These are from Steve Osborne, a longtime friend of Ron's, who Ron has recruited. No, they're okay. It's okay. We crossed out all the X-rated stuff here, Ron. It's all right. Steve had to say, I can describe Ron this way. In most of the organizations Ron Huey's been a part of, they can't get rid of him. He is like the Timex watch. He just keeps on ticking. Ron Huey does good work for all the right reasons. Steve went on to say, once Huey gets his teeth into something, he's like a pit bull, and you can't beat him off with a Louisville Slugger. Now, I truly believe that true service to your community comes from your heart, and it permeates every aspect of your life, touching your time, your money, your talents, and your possessions. True community servants don't look to gather things for themselves. They volunteer in order to give back to others. Ron Huey is a true community servant and a fitting person for us to honor tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ron Huey to the stage as this year's Tri-Citian Of The Year. Ron, congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Skip.
It was really hard to keep a secret all week.
There's a couple things I need to say, and then I'm going to give you a chance to speak.
Okay, thank you.
We have in our budget one more clap for Ron, so they love you. They love you. They love you. Each year, the Tri-Citian of the Year has been presented with a Paul Harris Fellowship or a George F. Hickson Award, which is contributed by either Rotary or the Kiwanis clubs in the name of the award recipient. This year, I'm proud to honor you, Ron, wherever you are. You're on my six, with the Kiwanis George F. Hickson Fellowship, which means we're glad that those two Kiwanis could be here tonight. No, seriously, this is a great award, and what it means that you are a part, Ron, of an endeavor assisting to make the world a better place for children through a wide variety of local, national, and international humanitarian, educational, and cultural programs. Only a handful of Kiwanians have the honor of sharing this prestigious fellowship with you. Here you go. Come on up. Come on, turn that around. They got to see the blue. Congratulations. Do you have a few words you'd like to say to your fans?
I have very few.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Wow, how do you do this?
Take a cleansing breath.
This is when you need to hire an attorney because you need somebody to speak for you.
No. Yeah, I got one down here. Okay. Wow, thank you very much. This is an honor beyond belief. It's, you know, how do you, this community has been something special to me and my family for a long, long time. My grandparents came here a little after the turn of the century. They had my mom and dad here. They married, they raised their kids here. I met my wife here and raised my kids here. So we have, as my dad once told me, when you give something or you give something, you always try to give back more than what you've gotten. And that's just what I've been trying to do for this community, is give it a little bit more than what it has given us. And I'll keep trying. This just makes it tougher, guys. Come on. Thank you very much. This is really a pleasure. Let me introduce some people back here, and if I can remember, I know I can remember everybody. The lady that has to put up with all that I do and all the anniversaries and all the things that I miss, my wife, Joan. Okay. The two lovely ladies here are my daughters, Brooke and Courtney, and if you have trouble telling them apart, they are twins, so. Also, my mom, gosh, I'm surprised to see you. She just turned 90, so she's here this evening, and thank you. Thank you, Mommy. My niece, Terry Jo. Her son, Sean. Jake is my son-in-law. He is married to Brooke. And the guy that was, God, I didn't want to hear his quotes, Mr. Osborne. Thank you, Steve, very much. And Galen. I'm there. And the best man at my wedding, and from what I understand, he drove from Arizona to be here this evening, Galen Gaither. You know, there's always, I've got a great job. I am just been fortunate to work for a company who knows what community is all about. And they've encouraged me to give back to my community. So Dave and Hapo, I really thank you guys for allowing me to do what I do. Okay. Again, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, and I'm out of words. Thank you very much.